Paul Atreides' successful ascent to the imperial throne marks the dramatic climax of Dune, Part 2, but as later installments in the series make clear, his reign is also one of the deadliest chapters in human history. Thanks to a tide of religious fanaticism, legions of Freeman soldiers loyal to the new emperor sweep across the galaxy, cleansing planets not sufficiently loyal to Paul. As a result, Paul himself becomes responsible for billions of deaths, establishing him as both the protagonist and villain of the early Dune novels. The groundwork for Paul's deadly rule is laid in both Dune, 2021, and Dune, Part 2. When he first enters the desert after the Harkonnen attack on Arrakeen, his exposure to spice allows him to glimpse a vision of fanatical legions spreading across the galaxy, slaughtering anyone who potentially stands in his way. Likewise, Paul's visions in Dune, Part 2 tease the darkness that will follow should he head south into the deep desert and drink the water of life. However, while both movies make the consequences of his premiership clear, neither addresses the exact number of people Paul Atreides kills. Paul Atreides' war kills around 61 billion people in Dune. Blended image of Paul rising up in front of the Freeman and Paul holding a blade in Dune 2. The devastating impact Paul's reign has on the Dune universe is properly explained in Frank Herbert's follow-up to the original Dune book, Dune Messiah. With Paul ruling as emperor from Arrakis, the story explains how his Freeman forces, now the deadliest fighters in the Dune universe, have spread across his empire just as his visions predicted. The novels explain that 90 worlds were sterilized, with 40 different religions wiped out and 500 more planets suppressed. The result is that 61 billion people across the galaxy have been killed either directly by Paul's forces or as collateral damage. One of the key themes of Dune Messiah is that Paul himself is not directly responsible for 61 billion deaths, rather, the death toll is a result of misplaced religious fervor. As a prescient emperor, he chooses to follow this course in the full knowledge that it would lead to such suffering, laying the 61 billion deaths firmly at his door. However, the situation is made more complicated by the suggestion that 61 billion is a price worth paying, as humanity's fate could ultimately be even worse. Unbeknownst to most other characters in Dune, Paul is not simply motivated by a selfish desire for power. In fact, he has deliberately chosen this path, despite the knowledge of the destruction it will bring, as he knows that there are other potential futures that could end up destroying the human race. Although 61 billion lives is a shocking sacrifice, it is, as Paul sees it, part of a greater plan to keep humanity from total self-immolation.